People are being told they can manifest anything they want, but what if the real reason they stay stuck has nothing to do with mindset and everything to do with what their nervous system can actually hold? Today's conversation breaks down why so many people keep repeating the same emotional patterns, relationships, and reactions, even when they're doing all the right healing work. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life health transformational coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we're chatting with Tiffany O'Hearn. Tiffany is a speaker, nervous system guide, helping people to move from survival patterns into self-trust and embodied awareness. Through her work in nervous system regulation, emotional patterns, thought awareness, she helps individuals create lasting change by understanding what's happening beneath the surface, not just in the mind, but in the body as well. Welcome to the show, Tiffany. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. And I just want to say, as a member of your community, that your community is all of that and a bag of chips. And it has been so
Oh,
helpful for my growth.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're part of it. I think you were the founding member, honestly.
I mean, where's my trophy? I'll take it.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. I'll put it on the cover.
Yeah, there you go.
So, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going beyond giving you the trophy?
True. So aside from the trophy, the biggest impact that we can make as human beings, and I literally just talked about this on my Substack live today, it is to work on yourself, to work on your own nervous system. There's so many polarizing things that all it is set to do is take us away from ourselves. And the more distant we come from ourselves, the further we remove ourselves from our intuition, our creativity, our ability to actually manifest what we want. And so biggest the biggest thing that you can do for the world right now is focus inward.
I love that. We grew up hearing, don't be selfish, don't focus on yourself. Well, that's just dumb advice. Because if you can't fix you, how can you possibly be relevant or helpful to anybody else? All you're going to do is keep repeating patterns.
It's so true, and there's so much truth in that, because the reality is that we learned from our we have this belief system, right? And beliefs to me are something that's never been challenged by our awareness or consciousness, right? And so where do our beliefs come from? Well, mostly they come from our parents. And our parents weren't teaching us or showing us how to regulate their nervous system. They weren't showing us how to do the inner work because nobody showed them. And so they are just recreating the same thing that if we don't with conscious intention, stop and change within ourselves, then we continue to operate from those same loops.
And we teach it to our children.
And they teach it to theirs, and on it goes.
And we talk about it in terms of trauma. We all go through all of this trauma, but it's really just patterns of behavior and responses.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because Jill, as I see it, we have created, you, me, and to those listening, this might this might be a little loud for you, and that I trust that that's your ego speaking to you. But if we can all sit with this one simple truth, that is, you have created everything in your life as it stands right in this moment. You have created it all of your trauma, but all the joy, right? We have created it all. And to me, I get super excited when I say that, because if I have created it unconsciously and unaware, what can happen when I am aware and conscious? Everything shifts around you. You've known me, right? I've done astrology, I've done all sorts of energy healing. I have been on this journey my entire life, more rapidly since my divorce about 8 years ago. Nothing has moved me faster than this nervous system work in the last couple of months. Nothing, because it's all within me and it's all within you.
I love that. I love the name of your Substack publication. It's Trauma Brought Me Here. And you can take it in a lot of different ways. And I'm really in sync with you when you talk about I I'm I am owning my trauma. I actually think we ask for this trauma before we come. And it's what it's what we put in our order for before we got born, and all of the details around it cook us. It's like the recipe to get us to be where we are doing the thing we're supposed to do here, because we're all connected and we all have like pieces of the puzzle. And if we don't have that forming part of it right, then we're not going to be the puzzle piece we need to be to fit in with the rest of the puzzle pieces that are all here, trying to figure out what shape they're supposed to be so they can fit together.
Right. And our trauma, our wounds, it doesn't matter what you call them,
Mhm.
they are real. Yes.
Mhm.
And they are not yours to carry. Right. And so what happens is we as humans, I stand on my pile of SHIT. Can I say that?
Sure.
Okay. So I stand on my pile of shit. Jill, you're standing on your pile of shit. And I'm flinging my trauma at yours, even though it's masquerading as my belief system. And then you're just taking your pile and you're flinging it back at me because we're both dysregulated. So, what
Hmm.
happens when we're dysregulated? There's an absence of connection, there's an absence of love because we are so bound and determined to hold on to this victimhood mentality. And it may not feel like it's a choice, but it certainly absolutely is. It's a choice.
Yeah. And once you realize that it is a choice, there's so much freedom because you can change your mind. You can decide to think about things differently. When triggers happen, and triggers happen all the time. I mean, even to people that like they're aware that I think this is going to trigger me. Like we were talking about the medical community this morning. Medical community really triggers me a lot. And but it it doesn't impact me really. I just I can look at it and I can say, yep, it triggers me. And I have some beliefs and thoughts around it, but I can use it to help me get what I want out of the system, or I can just be mad about it and have a temper tantrum and never get what I want, just be mad.
Right. Right. And that's, a lot of, I think the discord and strife comes from this ability, the medical community, our political system, religion. We're holding on to these beliefs. And what are beliefs? They are nothing more than opinions, right?
Mhm.
And you have your set of opinions and I have mine. Mine are true for me, yours are true for you. But where do I get the right to tell you your opinions are not? Right? I don't know how you've been raised or what you've gone through. I mean, think about your
Mhm.
partners, right? How long have you been married? And you still learn about them. And so for me, we can talk about traumas all day long. And it's one of those buzzwords now. It's like abundance and manifestation and trauma. And we just hold it and think that, like, no, excuse me, I'm manifesting right now. You are completely manifesting, but it is not what you want. And that's the reality of it. And so,
Mhm.
so for us, the work begins in the body. And this is one of the biggest things that I share all the time is this is not an intellectual problem. You can read thousands of books about it, right? You are going to be triggered. And here's the beauty of a trigger is there is a mirror there for you. And if you can reflect from the mirror, it will show you all of your wounds. It will show you where it is that you have to heal. And I can tell you with unwavering certainty, there are three groups of people that will trigger the absolute ever loving shit out of you. Potentially four. One of them is your parents. The second is your partner. The third, children if you have them. And the fourth are the strangers you meet, right?
To
They
pretty much everybody.
Yeah, it really is, right? But like if we really look at that, because everyone is sent to be a messenger towards us, they are a gift and they are showing us something. And then we can have really beautiful conversations like you and I have, right? And why is that? Well, it's because we are showing up with a regulated nervous system. I'm not trying to change your mind. You're not trying to change mine. We're having an open dialogue with love and intention. And that changes everything. And so we have to work on these triggers. I'll finish recording it on Monday, but I have a let it go workshop, because if you can't let that shit go, it will continue to create your life. And when we talk about a nervous system that's regulated versus dysregulated, you know, this is more of a spiritual type space, right? But we get that spiritual toxicity, and I'm pretty sure, Jill, you know what I'm talking about, right? And it is not about me not being spiritual or not being guided or not being uplifted. But I can promise you, if you're coming from a dysregulated nervous system, you can call it your guide, you can call it your intuition, but I'm telling you it's false, because it is your ego that is speaking louder because you're dysregulated. If we're not regulated, we don't have access to our intuition, our creativity, the love within us. It comes from fear. And so we're making fear-based decisions and calling it intuition. And it's not. It's not. You never need to defend your intuition because it comes from a knowing, right? And when you're regulated, I just had a friend come up to me yesterday morning telling me about, this incident with a friend. And she's like, but I feel bad that I made her feel bad. I said, you did not make that person feel bad. Well, I lit the fire. I said, the fire was already there. I said, this sounds more like a you problem. While it is a her problem, see what it's showing you, because this is also a you problem. You don't need to save their marriage. You didn't do anything to start it. Let it go. Well, that's hard. Exactly. I get it. It is hard to let it go. But when we can sit in the feelings, because again, Jill, who taught us to sit in feelings? No one.
Mostly you're told, ignore your feelings, stop crying, suck it up.
Right. It's not real. It's not as bad as you think it is. Put your tears
Yeah.
away. Right.
Yeah.
So we've become professional repressors and suppressors. And I get it, right? Like you brought up the medical community, right? You might be advocating for somebody in there and you need to suppress your trigger in that moment, but
Mhm.
it's not a lifelong journey. It's a let me get to the parking lot and feel my feelings. And that's what this is about. And this is the work that comes through me because I've made this space. I didn't invent this,
Mhm.
right? I didn't invent nervous system regulation, but I have allowed enough space within myself for it to come through, and for others to the intention is to hear something within there and recognize that everything that you're searching for is within. All the control. And this is what we talk about, dysregulated nervous system. One of the number one signs, because people like to talk about this too, their OCD. The number one sign that you're dysregulated is your need to control other people and things. A pen should not dysregulate you. If it does, you were already dysregulated.
I think a lot of these other labels that people apply to themselves might also fall into this, that I'll just say the ADHD thing. I'm not going to say that there aren't people who are technically diagnostically in that category, but I think there are a lot of people that use it as an excuse to not take control of their own nervous system and responsibility for the decisions that they need to make in their life. And if you have a dysregulated nervous system, it's really hard to make decisions because you don't know where your foundation is. It's always like, I don't know, this may make me have this feeling in my body. And a lot of it, it's a feeling that you get in your body, but your brain is disconnected from your body. And it's not, the signals aren't getting through and they're
Yeah.
getting all tangled up. And so if they do get through, and so you're not sure about making decisions, or you start things and then you're like, you get in that frozen zone where you don't know where to go next because you're, again, fear comes in and it's like it's such a hard place to exist in, which is why if somebody can come along and say, here are some steps to regulate all of that and to sit with it. And, we're like, gotta be on the go, gotta get all the stuff
Right.
done kind of people, but we're beings. By definition, being means to exist, not doings. We're not human doings out there. Always
Yeah.
on the go, always on the
And
go.
that's fear, though. That's also
Mhm,
fear. That also is stemming from dysregulated nervous systems telling you who to be and what
mhm,
to be, you know? Instead of really understanding that you are a being and you do not need to do. Most of us are chasing. We're chasing our life instead of actually being in it.
mhm,
And so, when it comes to a regulated nervous system, that is my priority. It does not mean that I don't get dysregulated. Oh, for sure, I do. But it's what I do with it that matters the most. And when it comes to these, coaches and in books and things like that, you know, like The Secret is a perfect example of it. It's a beautiful book, right? It's been around, people have talked about it. And the secret is, you can have whatever you want. But what they're not saying is you cannot have something that you want based on the fact that you want it. If you cannot hold it, because the mind is slower than the body. And so I can be talking to a Fortune 500, whatever in a boardroom, and they can say, no, I understand how the amygdala works. And I'm like, great, I don't care about the prefrontal cortex. I don't care about that because it's going to happen in the body first. And if you're looking for the science behind it, that is ego, that is fear, right? Instead of just being in your body and feeling what it feels like to be triggered. Oh, that's what that feels like. Oh, okay, I don't have to call it ADHD anymore. I don't have to call it anxiety because all of it exists in our body as an alarm system, right? And it hasn't been an alarm system until it is. It's like menopause nowadays. Oh, you're in your 40s, menopause this, menopause that. And I refuse to have a negative conversation about menopause. I
I love
refuse.
menopause. It's the best experience ever.
And,
And
and, and everyone wants to tell
afterwards,
you it's not, right?
I, yeah.
Embrace it. It's happening. So, how can you be sound, mind, body, and soul as you transition to this other beautiful chapter in your life? Right. And so many of us just live in this toxic culture because we're coming from a dysregulated nervous system. And so, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a coach, what are you selling? If you're not authentic with it, you're not going to sell it, right? And maybe you make some money off of it, but eventually it will implode because you will, because you're not allowing your body to be the guide. You're thinking your mind is the one. And it's like our thoughts. Do you know every thought isn't your own? Right? Have we ever actually stopped to think about where our thoughts come from? And we've created the life based on the thoughts we've attached to. That's it, period. Simple as that. So if you think your husband's an asshole, he is based on the fact that you've created it.
And you never reap in the same season you sow. This is a truism that most people miss. It's like, okay, today I'm going to start having only positive thoughts, and then 3 days later they're like, this doesn't work. Well, it takes a minute for things to grow. You're still reaping the thoughts you had 3 months ago.
Right. This is, and as I like to say it too, it's about being 1% better. And this is a part of this analogy I use in the workshop that the nervous system workshop that I have. And it's, Jill, it's like you saying, okay, I want to plant a garden. And I say,
Mhm.
okay, Jill, I have the perfect spot for you. And I take you out to this garden and it's beautiful, right? You're envisioning it. But what you didn't notice at first was it's a pile of rocks. And I said, there's your garden. You said, wait, there's rocks. I said, yeah. Now go sit in the rocks. And every time you don't react, you take one rock out. Let them be. They're just showing you something. And so your husband comes home later and he leaves his shoe on the floor and you really can't stand that. And he's doing it to you. And you go, no, that's just John being John. It's okay. That's a message for me. And then we take one rock and we put it in the bucket. And then Maybe later somebody messages you something a little polarizing about the medical community or whatever it is. And you say, no, I'm good. I'm not going to react to this. And now we take two because it compounds.
Mhm.
And so if you every time you don't react, you remove a rock from this garden, you have only created this beautiful space within yourself. And you practice it more fully and more wholly because it becomes part of our reticular activating system. It becomes part of that. This morning I went running with my wife and she said something to me, and I used to withhold information. Like, I'm being real. Like, I would just withhold information just because it pisses me off that you're asking me. That's so silly and nonsensical. She said something, I felt it in my chest, and I answered anyways. And then I laughed because that's not me anymore. Do you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
guess what? We have the most beautiful relationship, not because she changed, because I did.
You can change most relationships. I would say all relationships, but it does take two people in a relationship to want to have the relationship. But you can do things for yourself that make the experience better for the other person. 'Cause, you talk about the shoe being on the floor. It's just like you can look at that shoe as like they're doing this to me again. They always and they never, which is not true. Nothing is always or never.
Right. Right.
It's it's just something that happened. It's an
Right.
experience. Just have the experience and do whatever you're going to do with the shoe. You don't have to assign labels to it or make it mean anything. It's just a shoe or
And that's, I
dish in
think,
the
where
sink.
most strife in relationships, and it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic at best. I often
Mhm.
make jokes about the ego because, follow me here, it is messed up. Its pure job is to keep you safe. But what nobody told your ego is that's not safe. It's not actual safety. So John comes home, he leaves his shoes. Let's say he's not home. Let's say he left them before he even left the house. You come home first and you're like, this mother, I cannot wait for him to get home. He comes in the door, he's had a great day. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. And you're like, where'd you put your shoes? And how do we think he's going to respond? With the flowers? No, he's like, those are my shoes, right? So again, we're standing on both of our piles of crap and we're just flinging it at each other. And there's no connection in any of that. And so, whatever you want in your life, you can create from a regulated nervous system. We all seek control, but there is only one thing we have control over. And don't you dare say your husband or your children or your pets, because it's not true. We only have control over us. Do I have to react in this? Even that tiny little space. You only need like 1 second to make a different decision, just one. And it takes practice. It's that garden of rocks, right? And if you don't react this one time, now you can continue to have that beautiful day you plan to have with your spouse, right? Now your children are opening up to you because you're not coming in with your own bag of opinions and beliefs trying to change them because you're unwilling to see you.
A lot of those are your thoughts.
Yep.
It's what you're thinking about the situation. It's not actually the situation. And if you can get control of your thoughts, if you think about what you're thinking about while you're thinking about it, which sounds silly, but how many times do you tune in to what's going on in your head and realize the conversation is not very productive? And you just mention that, hey, brain, this conversation is not very productive. I think we're going to talk about something else and change the conversation. I mean, I've actually done that to my brain. It'll be like, and then on all of this, and they did that, and it's just like this is a conversation that will never happen. It's not productive for me to be thinking about it, so we're not going to be thinking about it. Find something else to entertain yourself with.
Yeah. And something that I practice that I has been so profound is actually when I'm thinking something that really just doesn't feel like it's me, right?
Hmm.
Because we are the blue sky, right? That is the I am of who we are, right?
Hmm.
I'm not Tiffany, you're not Jill. We're so much more than that. And so a cloud passes by as a thought. And if we don't do anything to it and just allow it to pass by, we don't attach to it, we say some pretty ugly things in our head that we would never say out loud.
Mhm.
And in some other, it's almost like you can, with some practice, you can practice literally just dropping the thought for 5 seconds, 3 seconds at best, where you just sit in that stillness. And if you can learn to drop the thought, then when something comes through that doesn't feel like you can just drop it. There's no conversation needed. Right. And when we can
Mhm.
sit in that awareness, it's like, just looking outside and seeing the leaves dance. That takes your attention out of the mind. You have thus stopped that thought. And we do have the power for it. A racing mind is a sign of a dysregulated nervous system. And that's why breathing is so important. I joke around every workshop I start. I'm like, are you breathing? Because I always start with breathing. Yeah, you are breathing, right? So you have something on your person in this very moment that can help calm you. And how many of us are actually utilizing it? Because the other side of that is your breath can also continue to stress you out. When we have a rapid breath breathing from our mouth, we're putting ourselves in a deeper stress response. There's a reason why we have this stress response, because we need to be able to run away from lions. But I don't know about you, but I am not in the savannah, and I have never been chased by a lion. And so my mom calling me on the phone, that's a me problem. If it
Feels like a
sends,
lion.
if it feels like a lion is chasing me down the savannah, right? That is not a mom problem, right? They're all these little gifts. And I think that they're beautiful. And I hope that I've expressed that in such a way that it is a gift for you to see, hey, this is something else that I have unhealed in me. Like I said, I've done energy healing. I've done so much energy healing on myself. But me being able to sit with my own wounds and my traumas and my ego and let it be and not repress the feelings and just allow it and then just give it away, nothing has changed me faster. And I'm not even joking. It happens. It is so real.
Oh, I totally can validate what you're saying. I I'm gonna struggle with her name, but she does the You Are Enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you know who I'm talking about? I can't remember her name. She wears
Um,
hats. Um, but anyway, just recognizing and allowing yourself to believe that you are enough goes a long ways towards making you feel like you don't have to solve all the world problems. You don't have to be any specific way. And I think part of dysregulation happens when we're trying to force ourselves to conform to something that it isn't us.
yeah. And then it comes from this dysregulated place. So we cannot access our intuition. There's a number one reason why you cannot trust yourself is because you make decisions, big decisions based on a dysregulated nervous system. You start relationships, you end relationships, right? When we're making decisions based on a dysregulated nervous system, that's the life that we've created, is from dysregulation. So you look at your life, and Jill, right now there's a uptick of I'd say between 38 and like 63, where these women like you and I are waking up and saying, what the what? Why doesn't life make sense? I have the husband they told me to get. I have the children they told me to have. I have the job they told me to get. And my life feels like a bag of crap. Like, yes, yeah, it has all the things. And I have my crystals in my pocket to ward off all the negativity, but it's all within you, right? We've just been sold, we bought something based on a dysregulated nervous system that has been perpetuated. None of that is real. It is all in the being. If you want to have more abundant relationships, love yourself first. If you want to have the body you desire, love your body now. Love your mind now. Love what you do now. Because we try to keep chasing all of these things and then collapsing in it because we can't hold it. If I said to you, Jill, yeah, I'm going to show you how to make $1 million. I'm going to tell you, your number one question should be, have you made $1 million? because you shouldn't listen to people that haven't done the thing, right? um, and I say to you, Jill, I'm going to spend 2 hours with you right now. And you're so jazzed up, right? You're so jazzed up. You go to your husband and you're like, I'm going to make us $1,000,000. And he laughs at you. And then you get mad. How dare he not believe that you can make $1,000,000? And then you sit there going, yeah, that is stupid. How would I ever make $1,000,000? What would I do with $1,000,000? And you talk yourself immediately out of it because it was never yours to hold. It was never yours to hold. It comes from you can't hold $1,000,000 in your nervous system because you're so dysregulated. Can you even hold a compliment, let alone $1,000,000?
They're very true statements. And we often take a number, and numbers do not actually exist. They represent things, and people forget that, which is why they struggle with math, is because numbers don't exist in a vacuum. We like to put them in a vacuum, but
Right.
they don't exist there. So when you talk about something like $1,000,000 doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything because money doesn't actually exist. All that exists are the experience that is attached, and everyone attaches a different experience to it. Like my dad has $1,000,000, and you would never know it. I mean, he lives the way he lives. He's happy-go-lucky. He's very generous, and he just has this experience. I know other people who have millions of dollars, and they live their life. They're just people, and they're living their life, and they have problems, and they have good things that are going on, but it doesn't make them any different than the
No,
person who has no money. It's just like I know
the money,
people who are very poor
the money,
financially.
it doesn't matter.
It
It
doesn't.
really doesn't matter. And in the best way for us outside, first you have to regulate your nervous system. And the
Mm,
second thing you do from a regulated nervous system is let go of the attachment to it. Because if we ask, okay, if I say, Jill, why do you want $1,000,000? Well, because it's going to buy me a horse or it's going to buy me all of these things and I'll have comfort and security and all of these things, right? I say,
but it
okay,
doesn't.
why? And if I just keep asking you why, you're going to
Mm.
whittle down to the fact that it's probably just some worthy issue. It's a fear within you that will tell you once I have that $1,000,000, I'm good enough. So if you want, what is that feeling that $1,000,000 will get you? Is it joy? Well, then that's what you hold in your heart and you let go of how it comes to you because it is never about what you desire. There's something within you and then you let it go. I was just talking to someone the other day about death, right? And for me, it is funny that we live in a world that the number one thing that fears is the only thing we know to be true. It is the only part of life that we know is true, and we fear the crap out of it. And they said, "Well, it's the people that I've left behind." And I said, "But you're
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 gone.
not there." Yes, but I could have hurt them. And it's like, that's not a reason to live, right? That doesn't come from the wholeness. That doesn't come from a regulated nervous system. It doesn't come from the fact that if we've read, and there's thousands of texts, ancient texts, that really allow us to see that this is not the end nor the beginning, but this is a journey, right? And so I know with unshakable certainty that the people in my life that I love, I will see again. The people that I haven't made right with in this life, I will see again. Right? And so I don't need to defend that to somebody else. Right? But why do we fear death? That's such a funny thing to me. It is a fear. And if we just keep asking ourselves why, you will get to the root cause of it. But it has to come from your ability to silence the ego that wants you to that if you're listening right now that you're like, she's so stupid, what is she talking about, right? Like, and it's funny to me because I always say if you're feeling resistance, it's your ego, it's not really you. It's just I'm just bumping up against something in you that you fear. right? But what is the fear? Get to the root of that, and whatever problem you're experiencing, it will dissolve because you felt it. You have felt it, and that is real. And that is something you can hold, not the $1,000,000.
Yes. And you can hold it right now.
Right. Not
And
crypto.
yeah, yeah, does one of those funny things.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
comes and it goes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the way that it's meant to be, and we just resist the things that are already existing, right? Allow the universe to universe. And this is how I live my life. Whatever I'm doing is the exact right thing for me in that moment. And if something feels hard, I regulate my nervous system and I remind myself with all the love in my heart that it is for my highest and best interest. And I trust that. The same thing with my daughter. My daughter's going through some stuff. I can't solve it. I can't fix it for her. But I can remind myself that whatever she's going through is for highest growth. And therefore, it is mine as well. And we have the choice to do that. And it comes with trust that whatever, if you're listening to this, there's something here for you. It is not a mistake that you're listening to it. You didn't accidentally fall upon it, right? Something led you here. Something led you and I together.
Yeah. And you talk about this a lot in your Substack
I do.
publication, and you go live a lot. Is it?
I do.
Yeah, it is live. And you share a lot of insight into regulating your nervous system. And you also bring in other bits and pieces of astrology and the other woo sciences out there. And they are sciences. There's a lot of data that can be gathered from the tools that we share with people about regulating your nervous system. And I think a part of it starts with knowing who you are to begin with. And we give ourselves all of these signals before we come,
Right.
like little messages from beyond, like the day we're born. It's not an accident you were born on that day. You picked that day
Right.
as a message to yourself later.
Right. And your
That's
name and all of that. And, Jill, I started going live, and I'll tell you why. I started going live on Substack because my ego was waiting for somebody to tell me, hey, Tiffany, you can be a speaker. Do you remember when you wanted to be on Saturday Night Live when you were a kid? Just wait, they'll invite you. Like, no, they're not inviting me. So if I want to be a speaker, I need to speak. Okay, great.
Mhm.
Why I do it is because this work, I want it to be as accessible as it possibly can. And I trust that you might hear that one thing that could change the rest of your life. And it's the same, what am I trying to say? It's the same, sun, with just different planets orbiting around it. And I don't do it for long, it's 20 to 30 minutes. And I do it as much as I can because this is so important. And this is what we need in our life right now. Not me. That's not what I'm saying, right? But you can take, politics is such a huge example. And I talked about it today, and it probably will piss some people off. But stop fighting the politics. Work on yourself because it is only an opinion that you have. And your need to defend it comes from dysregulation. There's something there for you. And so you can take any aspect of your life, and I can, with so much love, if you can just reflect it back to you, not that I have to do it, right? It's not me. But you have the autonomy, you have the authorship. And I'm sorry, but I have done so much in this spiritual community in terms of the work and the crystals, and all of that is very helpful and it's accoutrements. But if we can't live in the body, no crystal will save you. No Reiki will save you. No numerology is going to save you or change your life. It is just information. It starts in the body. In the body.
It's energy. We are all energetic beings. And until you can get control of the energy that is you, Your world is always going to be chaotic. You're going to not be in control, and not control in like the white knuckled sort of control, control in that you can have an experience and just let it be the experience it's going to be without having to push it in a certain direction. And if you can get into that space, which I think is what your workshop is about, helping people get into that space and practice it. It is a practice. You're not going to just like tomorrow suddenly we're in that space all the time. You go in and you pop out, and you go in and you pop out, and then you spend a little more time in there, and then you pop out. And then more and more time is spent in the being part of existence rather than in the pushing it to be a certain way part of existence.
Yeah, and like I say, like the workshop, and I've created a lot of things and they haven't really sold. And I know the reason is because it wasn't true for me. And I haven't practiced it, which is why I changed my name to the Embodied Alchemist, because I will not share a thing that I have not done or worked on within myself.
Mhm.
And you are going to react, right? I haven't experienced my life yet. So I'm still going to react. I'm not immune from reaction because I have awareness. It's still going to happen. But how quickly can I come back to my true north?
Mhm.
That's the work right there. Does it take 3 seconds? Does it take a minute? Because I'll tell you that sometimes my ego throws a little tantrum and I'll let it for like 5 seconds as I laugh, because at the start of the fight, I'm like, you already know this isn't, it's a fruitless, you know what I mean? So fine, take up your space. You can have 5 seconds, ego, and then we're going to get back to non reaction. And so, really, the workshop is how to create that pause, that space within you. And you have created your life based on your self concept. So, everything you believe about yourself. So, if Jill, if all of a sudden you can't, hey, listen, Tiffany, I just can't stand the drama in my life anymore. I'm like, cool. So you're saying you have a lot of drama within. You're like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's everybody else. And I'm like, yeah, no, but that's really what it is, right? We have all of our triggers. We say them all of the time. Every time you project something outside of yourself, that's a little sticky note. Pop that right on your forehead and go look in the mirror. It's you. In all of your problems, what is the common denominator? And I don't even like math. I don't even know what common denominator is, except for you, right? You are the one in all of your relationships. You still are the one that shows up. So when do we start focusing on the you and not the them?
Yeah. It makes all of the them problems so much more navigatable.
Yeah,
You-
it's just them. It's how they feel. It's their own beliefs. It has nothing to do with you. You do not need to solve them or fix them. You just let them.
It doesn't matter what they think of you.
No. It only matters what you think of you. And if it is
Mhm.
bothering you, it is a you problem. It is a mirror. It's showing you something. And when you can see that, all the love in the world can come through you. It truly can. I wake up with intention in the morning and I send my family love. And then I send my town love. And then I send the state love. And then I send the world love. Like literally, I go through all of this because I want to be a loving being. If I'm a loving being, people are loving right back to me because we are the law of attraction. That's where
Mhm.
the law of attraction exists. How much space do I have for it? Because if I am chaotic and dysregulated, everyone I come in contact to will mirror that for me. I want to be loved. Well, I don't want to be loved, but I want to give love. And thus, people let me go in traffic all of the time. They wave and smile, right? That's a real thing.
It is a real thing. Then there's just such a better space to live in. It's more enjoyable
Yes,
to live your life that way.
it is. And you know what's really funny? I'll just share this real quick. Is along my journey, I find people that are closest to me, they think that something's wrong with me. And I just send them love because you can have that too. And it's just triggering something within you. I am triggering something within you unintentionally, right? And I'm not going to show them the mirror. That is not my job. But it makes me smile where it used to make me fold before. And now I just smile and send them love because there's something that they don't know. And that's okay. That's their journey. It's not my job. But no, I'm not messed up. I am working actively on myself daily. That's it.
There's a lot of magic in it. So how
Mm-hmm.
can people find you?
They can find me, namely on Substack. That is where like I said, I go live there. As a matter of fact, Jill, the coach, is Alchemist. I don't know if you know her, but she taught me how to use Substack. And so that's my Substack. Trauma brought me here. But I've also shared my lives in a podcast setting just so that you can consume it as you see fit. Sometimes the phone being on, maybe you don't want to see me, whatever. You can also, have the content that way. I post all across my social medias. Again, my name is the Embodied Alchemist because there's not something that I will share that I have not done. And that is from my heart to yours. And so you can find me in all of those places. My workshop, which is the reset, it's from reaction to response. And it actually gives you tools. It is not just a workshop to listen to, it is something to really embrace within you. I also created a meditation to go along with that, as well as a frequency track, because sometimes we really need help to regulate our nervous system. And it's 432. I had it curated, so I know it's real. And it's for $47. And so, honestly, what do you have to lose? Just some old beliefs, maybe.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
why not try it on? And that's what I say on everything I do. It is an invitation to try it on, because if you just listen without trying it on, it becomes just noise. And so try it on. Everything we said here is an invitation to try it on.
Love that. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tiffany. This has been
Thank you
great.
so much for having me. I enjoy you so much.
I feel the same way about you, girlfriend. You can learn more about Tiffany and subscribe to her Substack at traumabroughtmehere.substack.com. And we'll be sure and put those links in the description below. You can also find her workshop on her Substack. Thanks for joining us today. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise a global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today. Get busy.